Hey everyone, this is my week 4 predictions for the 2023 NFL season. I know this is coming out late, so I'm just going to consider the Lions-Packers game a loss because I don't, I didn't pick it. So I'm just going to consider that a loss, and we're going to move on to make it fair. So moving on, when it comes to the Falcons and the Jaguars, I take the Falcons +3. Versus the Jaguars. The Jaguars defense has not been good all year. Now Trevor Lawrence has been playing pretty well, but he hasn't played as well as he has last year, especially at the end of last year. So I do think the Falcons are a scrappy team. I think they will play them close. I could see this either being a push or the Jaguars win by like 2 or 1. I think this is a very close game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons pull it out, but yeah, I would say the Jaguars win, but the Falcons cover. Bills versus Dolphins, which is easily the matchup of the week. I'm going to surprise some people. The Bills are favored by 2.5. I'm going to pick the Bills by 2.5. I know the Dolphins just had a 70-point ridiculous game that I think is the first time I've seen 70 points in my lifetime in an NFL game. It was like a college football game. But the Bills are just a better all-around team, I would say. I think the Dolphins' defense isn't as good as people think it is. They've played some very poor teams, in my opinion, poor offensive teams. So I do believe that the Bills overall will be able to go toe-to-toe with them. And I think they'll be able to slow them down because Josh Allen is a better quarterback that will be able to keep their offense off the field. And even though the Dolphins are definitely Super Bowl contenders, I think the Bills will win this game and they'll win it at -2.5. I also think the Bills are home, so I think they win this game at home. I do believe the Dolphins probably split with them if they keep doing what they're doing, but Bills at home, I'll take them to win -2.5. We got the Broncos versus the Bears. Oh my God, am I praying for the Bears to win this game? It would be so funny with all the shit talking that Sean Payton did if the Broncos lost this game. But the Broncos are a better team. Russell Wilson is not as good as he used to be, but he's definitely not as bad as he was last year. And then I think that's partially because of Sean Payton's coaching. Nathaniel Hackett's not the head coach anymore, and I do believe that he's been better, but they are just a horrible team. And this defense was supposed to be unbelievable, this Broncos defense, and they are absolutely atrocious. If the Bears let Justin Fields run the ball and just let him be a college football running quarterback, Ohio State type quarterback, then they have a chance. But if they keep trying to make him like a professional, prototypical quarterback, no. So I'm going to take the Broncos -3.5. Ravens versus Browns. I'm actually pretty surprised that the Ravens are +3 here. I know the Browns look better. They are home. But I think the Ravens, I like Lamar Jackson better than I like Deshaun Watson. I think the Ravens have better coaching as well. I'm going to take the Ravens +3. Now, I do see the Browns winning this game, but it's going to be close, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Ravens win this game based on how well they've been playing, how well Lamar Jackson's been playing. He looks like he's back to normal, and I think the Ravens are a much more dangerous team than the Browns are. Even though I think the Browns are undefeated. Bengals -2.5 against the Titans. I'm taking the Bengals. I know Joe Burrow is still injured, but he showed that he can be productive enough to win games, and you have one of the best wide receivers in the game. I do think they're going to protect him. I think they're going to let him get the ball out very quickly. Titans look bad. They just look bad this year. Derrick Henry obviously is like one of their only weapons. I know they have I believe they also have DeAndre Hopkins, but like it's just Ryan Tannehill is just getting older, and like he was a decent quarterback before, and now he's like not because he's just older now. So not I don't love the Titans this year. I think the Bengals, even with a Burrow injury, with that calf, I think can still win this game. Now, if Burrow doesn't play, that's different, but I believe he obviously will. Ravens are even versus the Colts. I'm sorry, not Ravens. Rams are even against the Colts. I'm taking the Rams. I always will pick Matt Stafford and experience and those wide receivers and above the Colts. And don't get me wrong, the Colts I think are going to be good in a year or two, but I think they're okay now, and I don't think they're going to really be great for the rest of the season. I think the Rams, even though they're 1-2, I think they are playoff contenders. I think when Cooper Kupp, if he comes back this year, which I believe he is, with the wide receiving core they have, with the running backs that they have, and the experience with Matt Stafford, I think they could very well sneak into the playoffs. I don't think the Colts are making the playoffs. Saints -3.5 versus the Bucs. Hard game to call. I like Baker Mayfield more this year than I did. I think he's playing within himself. I think Derek Carr's playing this game. I know he got injured, I believe, last week, but I would say that the Saints are going to win. They just have a better all-around team, and I think that's why they're favored by 3.5. And I think that I do trust Derek Carr more than I trust Baker Mayfield. Commanders +9 versus the Eagles. Okay, so Commanders are one of these teams that it seemed to play a lot of team stuff. Now, last week was a bad week, but I do believe in Eric Bieniemy. I believe Eric Bieniemy is their assistant coach, their offensive coordinator, and he's making Sam Howell look like a good quarterback. Now, to be clear, Sam Howell had a very bad game last game, but they played a very good team. I know the Eagles are also a very good team, and I think the Eagles are going to win, but I think they'll win by 7. I don't think they'll win by 9. Eagles also don't drown teams, it seems. Now, they drown really bad teams, but Commanders are not a very bad team. They're a 7-8 win team, and they do play a lot of teams tough, and I think that the Commanders will keep it close enough. I think the game might be like get up to 14 points, but I can see like the Commanders just getting a junk touchdown at the end of the game or something like that, or then maybe they're down by 10 and they get a field goal to make it 7. Like I think it's going to be out of reach early on, like towards the third quarter, fourth quarter, but they'll stick around and they'll cover. That's what I'm thinking. Vikings -4 versus Panthers. Now, there is a part of me that wants the Vikings to lose because I understand that there's a huge salary cap with them, and like you would have to trade a draft pick for the Jets to get Kirk Cousins, and it's so out of left field. Like there's no way we're going to get him for a year. But if there's any chance, losing to the Panthers and going 0-4 with Kirk Cousins throwing God knows how many yards and playing so well this year, there's no better chance than this. And yes, I truly believe that Kirk Cousins makes the Jets a playoff team. A Super Bowl team? Absolutely not. A playoff team? Absolutely. So, but I think the Vikings are going to win. They're just a better team than the Panthers. The Panthers look like one of the worst teams in the NFL. The Vikings don't look like one of the worst teams in the NFL. They just look like they can't win games right now, and they play teams really tough. They have a really high-powered offense. They have probably the best wide receiver in not just the division, but in the NFL. Their running game is suspect right now with Alexander Mattison, and that's a little bit suspect. Their offensive line's a little suspect, but they're still a good team, and the Vikings are never going to be a huge underdog against any good team, even if they go 0-4, I think. Steelers -3 versus the Texans. I take the Steelers. The Steelers just have better coaching, and the Texans are really young. Like, it's really that simple. And the Steelers, I think, with Mike Tomlin and, with some of those weapons, a young team, I think they can win this game, and I think they'll definitely, like, eke it out. They're not going to make the playoffs. They'll probably miss it with 7 or 8 wins, but Steelers, they're a good enough team, and they're on the upswing, I feel. Chargers -5 versus the Raiders. Justin Herbert's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. It's that simple. Now, Mike Williams is out, which is a big deal, but you do have Keenan Allen still there. He is a very veteran presence. Yes, Devontae Adams is better than Keenan Allen, but I think the overall offensive weapons on the Chargers cancel out the Devontae Adams situation, and I don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo anymore without having either a coach like Bill Belichick or a coach like I can't remember the Cardinals coach's name. But you know who I'm talking about. And that offense, obviously, the Arizona Cardinals offense makes a lot of players look good. Like, just leave it there. And they also have a ton of weapons. You got the Chargers versus the Raiders. I'm sorry, I just went over that. You have the Cowboys versus the Patriots at -6.5. I have the Cowboys winning that game by more than 6.5. I think Mac Jones is going to get exposed in this game, like completely exposed. I do like what the Patriots are doing. Unlike the Jets, they're actually letting Mac Jones throw the ball and like actually air it out and make mistakes. So I do give them a lot of credit for doing that. You're going to see if Mac Jones is a real quarterback, and I think he's decent. I just don't think he's good. But against a Cowboys defense that is coming for blood after last week, and against Dak Prescott and that offense and it's just not going to happen. Like, it might be close, but the Cowboys are winning by more than 7. Cardinals +14 versus the 49ers. I understand that the 49ers are probably the second best offense in the league right now behind the Dolphins with what they've did. Now, to be clear, I actually think the 49ers offense is better than Dolphins offense, but it's very hard to say that right now after what the Dolphins did last week and what they've done this whole year. The reason why I actually believe that is because so Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle And that whole offense is unbelievable. And I'm not disagreeing with that. I think it's harder for a defense to scheme against Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel than it is for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And the reason why I say that is because I believe if you double team one of those and let the other one do the damage, it's kind of like basketball where you're like double teaming Steph Curry and you're making everyone else do the damage. I think that you could possibly double team Tyreek Hill. He's going to get catches. He's going to get yards. But if you hold him to under 100 yards and you have Jalen Waddle do a lot of the damage and he's not as good as Tyreek Hill. And then you have the Deebo Samuels of the world. You have the Brandon Ayuks of the world. You have the Christian McCaffreys of the world. I think it's harder to scheme against those players than it is to scheme against the Dolphins. And to be honest with you, the Dolphins haven't really played against a good defense yet anyway. So I know it's hard. I know it's a hard argument to make, but I do believe that at the end of the year, the 49ers will be considered a better offense than the Dolphins, but it'll be close. With that said, the Cardinals play every team very tough. I've been very impressed with the Cardinals. I don't know, the Cardinals are not just, skirting away, just throwing games away. They just beat the Cowboys. Now, the 49ers are a very different team than the Cowboys. They have a much more potent offense. This is the most potent offense the Cardinals are going to face. But the line is 14. Do I think the Cardinals can keep it within 14 with the scrappiness they play with? Yeah. They also come out fast, which makes things good for the spread. So I truly believe the Cardinals will keep it within 14. I've bet the Cardinals every week, I believe. Maybe not the first week, but the second and third week, I absolutely bet them, and they've covered every time. So I truly believe that the Cardinals will cover again, and I'm going to keep picking the Cardinals to cover every week until they prove me otherwise. Seahawks versus Giants is Monday night. Seahawks are a better team than the Giants. They're a better coach than the Giants, in my opinion. And the only reason why I say that, and I like Brian Daboll, is that Pete Carroll, I do like the way he coaches a little bit more. The defense, I like how he's using Geno Smith. I like how he's using DK Metcalf. I think they're just a better team with more weapons. I don't trust Danny Pennies, as I like to call him, at all. And it's just not – he's not the quarterback. If I think Mac Jones is decent, I think Danny Dimes is – or Danny Pennies, whatever you want to call him, is – just less than decent. He's really not good. I think that was a huge mistake from the Giants. Not as much a mistake as Zach Wilson for the Jets, but it's a huge mistake. Now, I'm going to talk about, I'm leaving this for last because I have a whole soliloquy I want to say about the Jets game versus the Chiefs. So, the Chiefs, I don't even know what are they favored? I don't even know. The Chiefs are favored by 8.5. I think they're going to cover 8.5, and it's in New York. And it's obvious why. Their offense is so much better than Jets' offense. If the Chiefs score 17 points, if they score 10 points, they probably win the game. Because I don't expect the Jets to score more than 10, if 10 at all, because of that offense. But I want to go into the Jets for a minute, because I've had a lot of arguments about this recently. The Jets have an offensive line problem. They have a coaching problem in the offensive coordinator section with Nathaniel Hackett. Absolutely. I'm not going to disagree at all. I think listening to Tony Romo the last game when he was talking about how they should call plays, I'd rather have him as an offensive coordinator right now because of what he was doing. And the moment that he said something and then they threw one first down, you saw Zach Wilson able to do what he needed to do in certain cases. With that said, and it obviously opens up the defense as well, and let you run the ball. With that said, with as much talent as Zach Wilson has, there are stats out there that when he has protection, he cannot make the play. He's obviously going to look good on some throws because he has a cannon for an arm in some games. But a majority of his throws are horrible. The majority of his decisions are horrible. Sometimes he doesn't even get the ball out in time. He is so tunnel visioned into checking down the ball or throwing it to the one receiver, he doesn't go through progressions at all. He makes so many wrong decisions, and it's driving me insane. I'm actually partially happy that he's going to play this game because I truly believe what's going to happen is in the middle of the first quarter or by the halftime, there's going to be so many boos that there is no way that they're going to be able to play him in Denver. There's no way. I am actually hoping that I want the Jets to win, obviously, but I want the Jets to win in spite of Zach Wilson. I want it to be so obvious that they won in spite of Zach Wilson that they sit him anyway. Now, obviously, they're not going to win, so they're going to get blown out, in my opinion, and it's going to be 24-7 or 24-6. That's what the blowout's going to be, because I think the Jets are going to start throwing it on first down more, and they're going to start getting a little bit more first downs than last week, because if they don't, the Jets defense is really good, and I hate the people that are saying that they're not. And all these analysts are saying, "Oh, they need to make plays. They need to intercept the ball more. They need to force more turnovers." Absolutely they do. I don't disagree with any of that. But no matter how many turnovers they get, no matter how many fumbles or whatever they get, they're going to be on the field so much that they're going to let up 24 points no matter what. Because the Jets can't get first downs. They can't on offense. It's not physically possible. And offensive coordinators on other teams, and offenses in general, and quarterbacks in general on other teams, when you see the defense on the field 60 plays in, 65 plays in, and you're in the beginning of the fourth, if not the third, they're going to get used to, no matter how good a defense is, you're going to know what the tendencies are in the middle of the game, make adjustments, and just score. It doesn't matter how good your defense is. I don't disagree that they could play better, 100%, but they're also going to get exhausted by the end of the game. If we had a real quarterback, a professional one, I'm not saying we'd win the Super Bowl. We wouldn't. But do I believe we'd make the playoffs? Absolutely we would. Because we would be able to move the sticks, keep the defense off the field, and then score 20 points. I'm not even asking 17 points. If we could score 17 points and we don't let the game get out of hand early, I honestly believe if we average 17 to 20 points, we'd make the playoffs. But we're not going to do that now because of Zach Wilson. Because of the offensive play calling, and yes, because of the offensive line. But the biggest issue is not the offensive line. It is a huge issue. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the biggest. It's not the offensive coordinator. That might be problem 1A. It's Zach Wilson. And there's no doubt in my mind that it is. I understand his talent is amazing. But holy crap. Are we kidding? I don't even think Trevor Siemian is better than him. He has less talent than him, that's obvious. But you got to put him in just to keep the Jets players happy. Because I could tell you now, if Zach Wilson keeps playing, we're going to lose Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. They're going to want to leave. And I understand that in most cases, the QB is the most important thing. In this situation, it's not. You need to keep Quinnen Williams, which I know he signed, so he's staying. But you need to keep Sauce Gardner. You need to keep Breece Hall. You need to keep Garrett Wilson. You need to keep all these players wanting to play here. Take Zach Wilson out for the benefit of the long term, not just the short term. That's my opinion on that. So those are my picks. I know this was a longer video because I wanted to get into a freaking rant about the Jets, but that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Comment. I'll make sure to respond if you do. And hope you guys have a great weekend.